Alright, you guys, so for today's lesson, we're actually taking a look a step further into grouping, factoring by grouping. Now, in this case, we're actually going to be including two of the methods. We're including our diamond method, and we are including our grouping method, which we just learned yesterday. So it's diamond plus grouping in this case. So I first want to go ahead and start off, guys, by reminding you guys the general formula or the general formula for quadratic expressions here. So we have ax squared plus a bx plus a c. And in this case, the a represents the coefficient that's in front of the x squared, the b represents the coefficient in front of the x, and the c in this case represents the constant or the number that's without a variable. So in this case, guys, starting off, diamond method, I'll go ahead and just label this diamond method. This is where I'm showing it. And the first thing I want to go ahead and do with the diamond method, guys, I want to go ahead and identify what a, B, and C equals. So what is A, what is B, and what is C? And this is what the general formula is for, you guys, so we can match it up to the expression we're given. So in this case, A will be represented by 2, B will be represented by -7, and C will be represented by 6, which is the constant. So let's go ahead and write that down, guys. We have a 2, a -7, and a 6. So once we've identified these coefficients, these constants here, we want to go ahead and label our diamond here. So I'm drawing out my diamond method, and I know that above my diamond method is a A times C, which is a product of whatever we have A times C equal to, and on the bottom we have our B value. So in this case, guys, A times C is going to give us a 12, and B in this case is -7. So then in this case, guys, we want to go ahead and focus on what two factors in this case multiply to a 12, but add up to a -7. What are those factors in this case? Can you guys think of those two factors? And in this case, those two factors will actually be -3 and -4. Okay. So then from here, guys, we're actually done with the diamond method. We're going to go ahead and move on to grouping. So grouping is our next method. So we actually need to use the diamond method in order for us to do the grouping part. So I'm starting off, guys, by rewriting my expression, the expression I was given. So I have a 2x squared, but instead of writing a -7x, guys, I'm actually going to be replacing that with the factors I just found. I will have a -3x minus a 4x, and I have my constant the same. And if you guys take a look at this here, guys, if you add a -3x and a -4x, it's still going to give us that -7x. So it really didn't go anywhere. It's just broken down. So from here, guys, I want to go ahead and continue on grouping. And we talked about that whenever we're grouping, we're actually starting off with grouping the first two terms and the last two terms. So let's go ahead and do that. Group the first two and the last two. Now, keep in mind we have a negative there, guys. We need to make sure we include that negative in our group. And I'll go ahead and just put a plus sign on top, guys, just to remind you we are adding in this section. Okay, so let's go ahead and start by grouping, guys. I want to go ahead and see what we have in common in our first group. We have a 2x squared and a -3x. In this case, what do we have in common with the 2x squared and the -3x? If you take a look, there's not really any numbers, just a 1, but in this case, we can factor out an x. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I want to go ahead and factor out the x first. And inside of the parentheses, if I factor out an x, I should have a 2x and a -3 as my answer inside the parentheses. Now, moving on to the next one, guys, we have a -4x and a +6. The only number I could think of that they have in common, taking in mind that we have a negative number here, would be a -2. So I'm going to go ahead and factor out a -2. And inside the parentheses, we should have a 2x minus a 3 left. So then our final step, guys, is to actually create the two binomials that are going to be our final answer. So in this case, we start off first by seeing what repeats, and in this case, this would be considered another factor. The 2x minus 3 and 2x minus 3, those are factors. So I'm going to go ahead and bring those forward. If I'm factoring it out, I have a 2x minus a 3. And then in this case, whatever's left on the outside, which is the x and the -2, are going to be composing my second binomial here. So then this here, guys, is our final answer. 2x minus a 3, and x minus a 1. Final answer.